Welcome one, welcome all to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and with me as always on Tuesdays and Fridays is my man Jeff and our special guest tonight, Crypto Stevo. Some of you might know him from the chats on Discover Crypto and Blockchain Basement. That's where I see him lingering and loitering the most. So how's it going today?
Good.
It's going. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go for it. You're the guest.
I'm screwing up already.
All good.
I'm doing good. I live in here in North Carolina near the Outer Banks. Been in crypto for about 5 years now. But first heard a bit about Bitcoin, I think back around 2012, 2013, when I was so I'm a Navy veteran. I was on the USS Cole. And at the time, long mid-watch, yeah, I know, right? A buddy of mine was trying to tell me about Bitcoin, and I just thought he was talking about a role-playing game, fake internet money, just completely blew him off. And, we all hear this story 1,000 times, and then I forgot about it, and then the conversation came up several years later, like around 2019 or so, where of all people, my boss, a much older gentleman, brought it up. Like, yeah, I've heard of it. And I looked it up real quick. The price was really, I forget what it was. It was well over 20,000. I'm like, I don't know, man. That's really expensive. I think he was asking my advice on it. I'm like, I would pass. And then another buddy brought up Dogecoin. And believe it or not, for somebody, he was laughing about it. Elon, Saturday Night Live, and I don't know why. I honestly can't remember why, but I read the Bitcoin white paper. The light bulb came on. And the rest is history. I've been investing in traditional stocks and mutual funds for at least 20 years. Got into crypto and I struggled. I actually lost a lot of money trading individual stocks. And I don't know why. I tried to explain it to my wife, but crypto, I just get it. Like, I don't know why, but I just understand how to make money from crypto easier than stocks. And I quite haven't put my finger on it yet. I think I know why. And this is really, really key advice for everybody. When I actually opened up my very first MetaMask wallet and I was trading with Ethereum, and then I was watching, YouTubers talking about this NFT and this crazy NFT. I'm like, oh, cool. Let me look into that NFT. And I realized A, how expensive it was. Then B, how expensive the gas fees were. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I have to spend $200 of ETH just on gas. I'm like, that's insane. Never bought an NFT, thankfully, because I would have lost a lot of money on it. And then heard of a few people on YouTube talk about Solana, and then I opened up a Solana wallet, downloaded a Solana wallet, actually traded on chain, and it was like a breath of fresh air. It was so much faster, so much cheaper. The wallet was way more intuitive and user-friendly than MetaMask, and now I'm hooked. For the record, because I'm going to talk a lot of bullish, good stuff about Solana, but for the record, my biggest bag by far is Bitcoin. And I really think that's important for everyone to have, correct me if I'm wrong, but to hold the vast majority of your portfolio in Bitcoin. But Solana is probably my second. I think, yeah, it is my second biggest bag. And it's definitely my favorite smart contracts, layer one, blockchain. Amen.
All right.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Well, Jeff, you want to introduce the socials and let's dive right into this alpha.
Yeah, and real quick on that, Stevo, I traded stocks, for about 5 or 6 years, up until just after COVID, 2021, and I was okay, but I lost a lot. And in crypto, I've been much better. I just like you, I understand it better. I haven't traded as much lately since I gotten into DeFi, but yeah, it's just something about the movement of projects, and yeah, it's just it's been much better for my investment strategy being in crypto than traditional finance. But anyways, thanks for joining us today. We're happy to have you. And here at DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, where me and Mike go live every Tuesday and Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And you can check us out here on YouTube. If you're on X or Twitter, please follow us on YouTube and jump in the chat. A lot of great engagement from the community. Mike also has Money Talks on Mondays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. DeFi Masterclass on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. He does interviews that will be dropping on Thursdays at 2 p.m. and a DeFi Academy. If you don't know where to start in your DeFi journey or just starting, this is a great free resource. And follow our brother channels, Jake Call, Blockchain Basement, Discover Crypto, DeFi University, and me at the Blockchain Report. Jake Call has an awesome tool, Metrics Finance, that simulates your portfolio in DeFi. And there is a free option for you to start. We suggest you start there. And if you find value, go up to the monthly or yearly pricing, whichever fits your budget. And David has DeFi University, where it's $97 a month. They do live. I think there's a free section, but it is $97 a month for more advanced. You get daily live mentorships Monday through Friday, a 6 mastery course, beginner to advanced, and over 150 members in the community. Also, Mike's DeFi Wise newsletter, Monday through Friday. It is just under $20 a month, and they've been nailing the calls in those ranges. So great.
Dude, those freaking liquidity pools, the 3 liquidity pools that I chose to do ranges on, like one of them went out of range once since we launched the newsletter. So if you would have been following those ranges for like a month and a half now, you would have been earning. So yeah, we're definitely nailing a lot of good info in there. Just basic news, news articles, ranges for trading, ranges for DeFi. It's hearing a lot of good feedback from people.
That's awesome. And you can follow us on Twitter, _only_DCA. Catch Mike at Veteran4Crypto, me at the BCR142. And we are streaming on pump.fun and now the Arena. So if you want to check those out, and also follow Crypto Steve-O. Oh, Crypto Steve-O1. Right?
That's right. That's right.
That's 01. Okay. I just want to make sure that we got you on there. And our Discord is free. All the links are here on our YouTube page or in the description below. So jump in the Discord, and we have a lot of great alpha being shared in there from people in the community. So we appreciate everyone in there and having these discussions.
Ooh.
So we appreciate all of you. And Black Guy's got the popcorn, man.
Yeah. He's ready for the show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until we got something to show, I prefer this view. I like to look at the people I'm freaking talking to. So let's jump right into this. So last episode, we were given a lot of alpha in what's going on with Base Network. A lot of the new developments tomorrow, of course, the 17th. Base, Coinbase is coming out, and they're announcing what many are guessing is going to be that they're going to be launching perpetuals on Coinbase. And, and a couple other offerings. DeFi is growing. RWAs is growing. You can go to places like rwa.xyz. Yeah, you can go to DeFi Llama, and all the data is there. I know Crypto Steve-O and I, we swear by data, and we both are big fans of those two sites. We often debate, in a very, very, lighthearted way. But we're very passionate about our projects. I'm definitely into Base and then Aerodrome, and he's definitely in Solana. If you watch him in any of the chats, you know that he loves some Solana. I am starting to warm up to Solana. It's it's always been a great layer one. However, I always felt like it leaned too heavily on memes. However, over the past month or 2 or 3, I've started to notice a marked ramp up of Solana, and we're going to go over some of the news of how it is integrating with Base Network, Ethereum, and now today we just found out Visa. So Visa launched on Solana for stablecoin payments. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. Steve-O, since you're the guest and you're the Solana maxi, where do you want to start?
Okay, for the record, I'm not a Solana maxi.
Come on, own it. Own it, man.
No,
You're just a savant.
Yeah.
I mean,
you just put the tip in just for a minute.
It's it's my favorite horse. I like other horses. I have an Avalanche wallet. But again, they got great developers. They know how to develop good DeFi protocols, AI protocols, and they're into everything. And one of our debates before was about the one trick pony chain. And that's why I like Solana, because it's the everything chain. You got a little bit of everything on it, and especially DeFi. Right now is kicking ass. They're like, if you don't know, the Aave, the lending and liquidity manager protocol on Solana. I could just go on and on and on. Jito is like the Lido of Solana, the liquid staking and restaking protocol. There's liquid restaking on Solana. A lot of people don't know this. Liquid restaking with a protocol called Fragmentric. Honestly, I've never used it, but think of like EtherFi, or I don't know if you guys have heard of Kelp.
Real quick, Steve-O. Like where are you wanting to start? I don't necessarily want to start going through, kind of line items. Just kind of in general, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with, the latest news? Do you want to start with DeFi? Do you want to start with RWAs? Kind of what topic would you like to start?
Well, I guess DeFi, since I've started DeFi.
All right.
I just want to educate people of all the different DeFi protocols on Solana. There's a lot of money, a lot of activity with DeFi on Solana, and the metrics prove it on DeFiLlama.com. I cannot
let's go more that route instead of getting super granular, just for the sake of time. I don't want to go through like all the protocols, but we can definitely, if you want to kind of talk me through where you want to point the viewers. I'm on DeFi Llama, and I'm more than happy to pull up any data that you want to go over.
Click on the revenue tab for all chains, or go DeFi Llama /chains. So we can look at all the chains, right? We'll compare the Solana DeFi to Ethereum and everybody else. Click on the revenue tab when you're on chains.
Where are you seeing revenue?
Hold on, I gotta go on mine.
Well, basically what we can go over is right here. You can see Ethereum is just the undisputed 800-pound gorilla. Love it or hate it. I'm not a huge fan of Ethereum, but you can't ignore its role. It's the 800-pound gorilla. It has almost 68% of the market share. In second, you have Solana. That's about just over 8.5%. And then, after that, you got Bitcoin. You got Binance, Binance chain, and you just on down the road. So this is what I usually look at when I want to see what is going on with liquidity flows. Now, if we let's actually go back to here and go to Solana, and we can see.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then scroll down and click on the revenue tab. Scroll down.
Oh, you're talking about this app revenue 24 hours?
Nope. Scroll down. Right there. And then see where it's on volume. Yep. Check it, the volume, revenue. Yep. Yeah. And then I like to look at the revenue numbers, because that's how much the protocol's drawing in. So if you want to, I like to look at longer time frames, like 7 days, 30 days, a year. But if you just want to click on sort by revenue by 7 days and see who's drawing in the most money for Solana.
Of course, it's pump.fun, with all the memes.
But it's more than just memes, right? It's people like me, you, anyone who just wants to jump in and do a live stream. And then, you can shill the coin that you created. Pump gets a lot of hate and stuff about, just memes. But I think it's more than just memes. But regardless, the bottom line is it draws in a lot of money. And now,
without a doubt, it draws in a ton of money. But for the most part, and we're streaming on it right now, but a lot of the revenue generated, and I shouldn't do air quotes because it is actually revenue generated.
Yeah, money's money.
But we had to create a token just so that we could stream there, and then you have everybody launching all their memes there. So all of that, it's like a casino. If a casino has a lot of money in it, that's kind of what I see Pump.Fun is.
I don't think it's a casino, my man. I think it's more of an individual retail, if you will.
It's YouTube. A bunch of retail that's trying to get rich on meme coins. They're going to put a couple $100 on a meme coin and hope that a million exit. It's the draw of meme coin.
But here's my point: we
love to gamble. That's why we invest.
Good money. It's drawing in good money now during bad sentiment, arguably a bear market. Imagine what Pump can do when retail comes back.
Not debating that at all. Pump.Fun creates a ton of revenue, a ton of TVL, a ton of traffic. It's volume, all of that. It 100%. But I mean, it is what it is. It's a meme coin platform that you can stream on. I mean,
this was traditional finance. That reminds me, like Pump.Fun would be like the OTC penny stock market in stock. Yeah.
All right. So moving on, get away from scroll back down, please.
Oh yeah.
To more traditional DeFi products. Jupiter, yep. Which is
Jupiter. Now that's a whole nother story. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yep, that's okay. You can do derivatives and leverage trading on Jupiter. Phantom's a wallet. Meteora is a DEX AMM. It's like basically a new Radium. I don't know. I don't think they have a whole lot of DeFi going on it. Going down the list, there's Radium. Helium's a DePIN project. If you want to scroll down a little bit more, see what names I can recognize. Drift, Futures, Perps.
Drift was taken off there for a minute, but it's kind of died off.
Yeah, it has. To be honest with you, I had a few Drift coins. I sold them all when I heard Anatoly, the co-founder of Solana, say we want to build a perp protocol. I was a little confused by that because is having some issues. I didn't really dig into the details about it, but I pulled out a Drift. There's Marinade, a staking pool, all sorts of good stuff. But
I know there's some really cool DeFi with Maple, the token, for them, and it's some very unique DeFi, and it's something that David showed me. I'll have to talk to him about it. Maybe bring it up tomorrow for the DeFi masterclass. But go ahead. I mean, I was just wanting to know if you knew anything about that.
Yeah, I do. I like Maple. It's on.
Well, no, just the advanced strategies. Like you can Maple. I'm wanting to say is a yield bearing token. I could be wrong. So you can earn just by holding it, and then you can use it as to lend. And then once you lend it, then you can borrow against it and do what we call looping. So,
oh wow, okay.
There was some anyway. Excuse me.
Okay. I always wondered what looping meant. I just learned something. Okay, that's cool. I'm pretty sure you're right, and I'm pretty sure Maple's on some other chains, not just Solana. And something I discovered relatively recently, just a couple weeks ago. Read the definition of. You just hover the cursor over holders revenue and read the definition of holders revenue and incentives, because I think I stumbled across something huge.
Well, I don't want to get too in the weeds with data. Sorry, it would just we only have another 45 minutes. So if we get too laser focused, then we end up not being able to cover all the alpha, because we haven't even started getting to the the news, like what alpha's out there. So
yeah, but this is super important, because this is where the money goes into the holders.
I get that. I get that. But people can go and seek out this data on their own. And if we have time, we can touch on it. We really need to get to the news and what is making Solana go from what it was to what it potentially can be with other chains, and that interoperability and those bridges being built between Base, Ethereum, because that's where the alpha is. Solana.
Yeah. So right now, Solana, like you said, the huge bridge to Ethereum and the base.
Well, here,
Solana.
somebody put this list together, and it's a really nice, just little list that I can go down real quick, and then we can just kind of cherry pick from that. And let's let Jeff kind of pick the which one that we zero in on. So J.P. Morgan arranged U.S. commercial paper issuance on Galaxy using Solana. Coinbase previewed in-app DEX trading for Solana tokens. State Street and Galaxy to debut a tokenized private liquidity fund on Solana. Blockworks and Solana unveiled Lightspeed, crypto's first investor relations platform. Ellipsis Labs produced Phoenix Perpetuals, a Solana native perps exchange. Animica Brands announced it will tokenize its equity via Join Republic, Market Node, and Lion Global. Soulflare gifted its Shield hardware wallet to all Breakpoint attendees. Not a big deal. Opened export for institutions to mint tokenized stocks from real world equities. That's big because that goes into RWAs and tokenization and basically the New York Stock Exchange and things like that, to where, and there's a bunch already. You have tokenized Tesla stock and Microsoft stock and Amazon stock. So, that is an onboarding of real world assets onto Solana. KaleFi announced a $500 million fund for Solana RWAs. SolisFi confirmed its upcoming token generation event. Let's see if we can hit some highlights here. This is quite the list. Galaxy positions Solana as the only chain capable of scaling tokenized securities. The CEO of Circle highlighted Solana's USDC volume supremacy and infrastructure adoption. And let's go ahead and hit this Chainlink and Pendle one. Highlighted Solana's sustainable uptime, processing 200 billion transactions in 2 years, surpassing all other chains combined. That's big. PT, which is the principal token on Pendle, SUSDE, is coming to Solana and landing on Camino, powered by Chainlink. This is something that you're going to see later on in the show. There's a lot of things going on with Chainlink, Solana, Base, Ethereum. So where do you want to start, Jeff?
Well, I think since tomorrow got the Coinbase, the Base event, start with the Coinbase DEX with Solana tokens.
Hold on. There we go. Why did it? And never mind. This freaking platform is annoying me. All right. So I'm not even sure if anybody freaking heard what I went through. So let's just, which one do you want to zero in on, Jeff?
Yeah, the Coinbase Solana DEX, since the Base event is tomorrow.
Yeah.
We can start with that.
So what about it? Jeff?
I mean, highlighting. I don't know much about this event tomorrow, so I'm kind of curious as to what they're.
Well, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Solana.
Okay. Okay.
That's to be determined. I mean, they're going to launch perpetuals and some other stuff is what people are saying, but we don't know if that's going to be about Solana. So, well, then I guess I'll just pick something real quick. Let's start with Visa. So Visa introduces stablecoin settlement for U.S. banks on Solana. So this is what I know, Steve-O, I know you agree with me on this, and I'll kick it over to you after I have, my little bit here. So this is what I've been saying, why I sold all my XRP is as soon as Ripple minted RLUSD, a stablecoin, I saw the writing on the wall. And then we saw the stablecoin legislation in the Genius Act. Cross-border payments and remittances is going to be done with stablecoins. No bank, no institution wants to use a volatile asset. And this is yet another example. They have USDC on Solana. And so there is multiple places that banks and institutions and retail can go. I can send any one of these gentlemen USDC, USDE, any stablecoin instantly using my phone right now on air. It would be there in a couple of seconds. So there is no need for XRP, for that for that use case. And I think that if you pay attention, you would see that Ripple thinks that as well. But I won't get into the grass on that. Steve-O, what are your thoughts on this one?
Super bullish. How can you not be? Stable coins are going to be our future. Solana has a ton of USDC market cap. Again, if you look at DeFi Llama, you look at RWA.xyz, tons and tons of stablecoin volume and market cap on Solana through Visa, Visa, PayPal, Cash App, a couple other things. Super bullish.
No,
I don't care. Like what you said before, I couldn't care less what the price is. That's when it dropped to $8. I backed the truck up and bought a shitload of Solana.
I did the same thing when FTX collapsed and Solana took a dump. I was somewhat new to crypto, but I was like, that's quite the dip. And the fundamentals didn't change. There was just FUD. There was a bunch of FUD. Solana wasn't going anywhere. I think I bought it $20. I bought like $4 or $5 grand worth at $20. And then I think I sold, I wanted to say when it got back up to $100, I sold. But I don't quote me on that. But yeah, I don't have massive bags of Solana. It's not, one of my top holds, but it's definitely something that you can't fade. I mean, it is right behind Ethereum. I would say that it's probably the 700-pound gorilla.
Yeah, agreed.
What about the uptime? That's one thing I have is the network.
Okay.
I remember, when's the last time they had their outage?
Steve-O's in short circuit.
19, 20 months. And I wanted to address that because that's one of the things I research. Do your own research. I actually did my own research. So at the time when I looked it up, I found out Solana was running on one validator client, kind of sort of like one server. So it was centralized at the time. Okay. But at the time they were working on another validator client. So right now, as we speak, they have 3 validator clients. I mean, the original one can completely go to toes and they're good to go with 2 other validator clients. And the best one, the most secure, just went mainnet recently, called Fire Dancer. So I highly recommend to everyone Google Fire Dancer. DDoS attacks, people like to attack the champ, right? Everyone wants to take that belt away from the champ. So you hear a lot of Solana FUD. And so the FUD going on right now, there's a couple different things. One is Solana has just experienced the 3rd or 4th largest DDoS attack. More than AWS server, right up there almost with Google Cloud, and they survived it just fine. Not a single hiccup, not an outage, not anything. And it just battle hardens the network, bring it on, tons and tons of volume, tested by fire. And we all hope and want and think that there's going to be a ton of volume and transactions and on blockchains. They're not all going to be able to handle the volume. Some of the ones that don't have total block space and all that, like Solana does, are really going to struggle if they actually bring on board the volume that they want to one day.
Well, let's address that because I think a lot of that is going to be mitigated. And, kind of why I wanted to do this episode and why we did our last episode on this topic is I'm noticing that all of these different chains, like, the good solid chains like Ethereum, Base Network, Solana, a lot of these are starting optimism. Doesn't get a lot of attention, but it's the underlying for a lot of protocols. But they are all starting to become interoperable. They're all building bridges between each other so that they can communicate, move value, move data. And so I don't think that, it's going to be one to rule, that just blow, everything else goes away and there's going to be, one project that does it all. I think it's going to be different chains are going to specialize in different aspects of blockchain, and then they're just going to be interoperable. It's kind of like that Ready Player One movie. With it was all about gaming and stuff, but basically it was like all the different games were connected to where you could take your stuff, your guns and your armor from one and take it to another. And I kind of see that as how blockchain is going to be. Is you're going to have RWAs maybe over on Plume, maybe. Then you're going to have Ondo that's going to be tokenizing and onboarding RWAs onto Solana and over on Ethereum and on Base Network. And then somebody that bought something on a protocol on Base Network, maybe they want to use it in DeFi on Solana. And so they're going to be able to seamlessly click, select that they want to lend it out on a Solana protocol, even though it was residing on Base. And it's just going to be seamless. We're not going to have to bridge. We're not going to have to swap. We're not going to have to find a wrapped version of something. It's just going to be, seamless. So, I mean, are you seeing that, Steve-O? I mean, Jeff, either one of you?
Go ahead, Jeff.
I mean, that sounds like, I mean, that would make the whole thing work seamless and much better. Because like you said, some of these platforms or networks aren't necessarily capable of onboarding like tokenized assets or RWAs, or they don't have the functionality or compliance built in, like some chains are. And then, you have Ondo onboarding these assets and making sure that they're compliant and functional, and then you can take it somewhere else. That would be ideal. And I've talked about that with gaming years ago, how, with some friends of mine who are into RuneScape and all the other stuff, it's like being able to take your in-game assets to other areas, other games or whatnot would just be great because you have true ownership. And a lot of these games now you can't, like, you pay for whatever, a skin, a sword, and you don't.
Yeah. And then, once that game is dead, then you just lose all that. So no, and that's when I first saw NFTs, even before DeFi, when I was just looking at, cartoon monkeys and stuff like that, once I learned what an actual NFT was, I was like, this is cool, because that's exactly what it can do in games. Is if you use real money, or you buy a gun or a skin or something like that, you actually own it. And if you wanted to take it from one game over to another game, then you can. If there's a new Call of Duty that comes out, you could keep all your old stuff that you won or bought on previous versions of the game and bring it to the new game. So, there's a lot of different ways this can go. But short term, at least, I just see all eyes and all attention and all money looking at DeFi and RWAs.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. A little bit of a hiccup there.
No. I stopped talking because I want to hear what you guys think about that.
So I forget who said it, but he put it very well. When the day comes when crypto blockchains are mainstream, users won't even realize that they're using it. I don't know how that's going to look like exactly, but if I go on anything, a game, an NFT website, a predictions market, hey Deadwood, what's going on, brother? You gotta click on your wallet to purchase the NFT, to make your bet on Polymarket. And right now, as we speak, so like Polymarket, you can use USDC on Polygon. Different games are just, it depends on the protocol, I think. And I think it depends on the platform, whether they want it to be multi-chain or not. And we're not there yet. It's just, we're so siloed. How it's going to be all super interoperable. I don't know how that's going to work or look. We're far from it. I think we're years from it. Right now, from a pure financial perspective, like investment perspective, I love the phrase winner takes most. So right now it's Ethereum and Solana are taking most, and everybody else is fighting for breadcrumbs. And institutions, as more and more things want to adopt blockchains and crypto into their platform, they're going to go where the liquidity is, where the volume is. And that's why just more and more and more projects, institutions are looking at Ethereum and Solana because they value security and liquidity more than anything else. I think it's going to be really, really hard. I'm not saying impossible, but it's going to be really, really harder for some of the smaller chains to ever compete and become successful. I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm fascinated by it.
I kind of wonder if some of the smaller chains, if they're just going to be more niche, more specialized, like Plume. Plume is pretty much geared specifically for RWAs and DeFi. I mean, with its compliance and its USDC backed, stable coin, just everything that it's doing is geared towards financial compliance. They're not looking at gaming. They're not looking at any other use cases. Canton Network, another one, very laser focused on being the network of networks, connecting siloed networks for finance. I think it's going to be these niche projects that are going to connect to these more robust, more diverse, like Solana, Ethereum, Base, layer ones that, kind of branch out, into these smaller genres. That's just what I'm seeing so far.
Maybe, but Mike, I'm sure you've heard of Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank, right?
Yeah.
He hates to invest in niche projects, and here's why. If I have my Solana wallet open and I can spend Solana on DeFi and RWA stuff already, along with my gaming, along with my AI, and then I find a new RWA project, why would I even bother opening up a Canton wallet, going through the shenanigans when I can just do it all on Solana? Just plain devil's advocate. I could be wrong.
Well, you wouldn't open a Canton wallet because that's not the use case of Canton. Canton, again, it connects institutions. So they have their own individual siloed network that's private.
Gotcha.
And, it connects those. So, I mean,
Canton was a bad example then. Say, like, why would I take the time to open up an Avalanche wallet or a Cosmos wallet or a Cardano wallet where I'm already established? I already comfortable with my Solana wallet. I have a little bit of Sol in there.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's that's why I think that it will be that type of architecture, is because those projects, like I'll use Plume as an example because it's kind of right there. I'm watching it all the time, but I think it's going to be to where you can open your Solana wallet and see, and there's already news that came out where a Nest protocol is now Solana is using, and that was built on Plume Network. So that you're starting to see on Plume Network, there is a bridge on Morpho and Glider that connects
cool.
Base Network with Plume. So
that'd be cool.
I'm starting to notice these, and so my point is what not to say that one day you open your Solana wallet and you can invest on Plume Network from your Solana wallet.
That would be cool.
It's like the Aerodrome update. You're going to be able to launch DeFi pools from all these different networks just from Aerodrome, because you have access to all these liquidity pools, and it's going to bring all of that TVL together and just that cross-chain liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be fragmented. And yeah, like if you could open your Solana wallet and just go to whatever network, seamlessly. That way you don't have to bridge and do all that jumping through hoops.
Well, and that's why I'm so bullish on Coinbase and the Base network, because I see as of right now Coinbase, with what they're about to launch tomorrow, and all the the new Base app, the new Aerodrome. They're removing. I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it. They're removing the barriers to entry for people who don't understand crypto, the technology, wallets and things like that. So it's going to allow grandmas and grandpas and people that don't understand this to simply deposit dirty fiat onto Coinbase, click one or two buttons, It's going to do all the swaps. It's going to do all the bridging seamlessly for them behind the scenes, just like going on Microsoft and double clicking on an icon, basically, behind the scenes generates a whole line of code that executes something, a process. It's going to be the same thing. They'll be able to go on to Coinbase, invest in something on the Solana network, and just basically click and done. It's going to take care of all of it for them. So that's the future. If there is going to be a future, which I think there is, for crypto and for DeFi and RWAs, and for this to work, it has to be that simple and that easy. We're just way early, and people don't understand how early we are.
Very early. I mean, my kids, they want nothing to do with it. They're playing on Xbox right now, and I try and introduce them to some crypto games. They're like, "That's lame, Dad." And I'll mention some meme coin or something, like fart coin, and they might giggle for a second and be like, "Yeah, that's lame, Dad." And I'll talk to my coworkers at work. We're super early, and it's just people don't know what they don't know, right? They don't understand how cheap it is, how much more money you can make in crypto DeFi than at the bank. Anytime I explain crypto DeFi, my buddies at work, they're like, no way you can make more than 6% yield interest. I'm like, bro, way more than, but it's risky. It's risky, but if you know what you're doing, like, I can help you and you can make way more. Well, I just don't know, because it's a cultural mindset. It's a change. It's something they don't know. It's the fear of the unknown. And
look, crypto, Steve-O, me and you, at the beginning of this, you were talking about your buddy came to you, told you about Bitcoin, and you laughed at him, and you were like, that sounds like something that, I said, that sounds like something that dorks, trade online while they're sitting in their mom's basement with Cheeto fingers. But
it's a double-edged sword, and I know we don't have enough time to really get into it. It could be a bad thing way down the road, but I keep on preaching this. BlackRock with Biddle, with Securitize, with Visa, they want to make money just as much as we do. When they turn on the advertising button and you start to see commercials for Camino or Base or whatever on a Super Bowl ad, or on your favorite website, we're close, my brother. We're this close away from when those major institutions want to turn on the advertising button and just blast advertising, and then people will be talking about it like crazy. We're so close to that. I mean, I can smell it.
It really, honestly, I think it's going to be one of these crypto bills passing and getting signed into law. I'm not an expert on the legal parts of it, but I know that that's what institutions, financial institutions, they're highly, highly regulated. Yep. And there's certain, things that have to be put into place, guardrails that need to be put into place before they can, do a lot of the stuff they want to do. They're already pushing the limits, I think, with tokenizing. And the DTCC came out a couple of days ago, and the SEC came out and basically gave a green light. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these stocks starting to get tokenized. Is the SEC basically said that if something is a security before it's tokenized, and it's tokenized, it stays a security. If it wasn't a security and it's tokenized, it's still not a security. Makes perfect fucking sense.
Speaking of tokenized stocks, you can buy tokenized stocks on
a bunch of places.
Yeah, on my Solflare wallet. I'm looking at it right now. We can go on Solflare and Phantom and buy tokenized stocks.
Yeah. No, you can do it on Kraken. You can do it on Robinhood. You can, they're all over the fucking place.
Yeah, people just don't know it.
Like, you'll have to really show them, like, walk them through. Like, I did this with my aunt and uncle over the summer. They're in their 70s, and they don't really have the availability or the risk tolerance to be getting into crypto right now, because they're retired and they have their investments for retirement. And I just showed them, my VFAT liquidity pools. I was showing my crypto wallet and showed them, how to set up a wallet, and showing them, because when I got into crypto, it was like, oh, where do I start? Like, how do I even get to these applications? And set up a wallet and all this stuff. So it's a lot of research. And if you can show them like, hey, see, you can send money from Coinbase to your crypto wallet, and then I go to this DEX or whatever and find, these, I can supply my assets as liquidity. You can lend, you can borrow, just showing them or teaching them so they can see, because visually, we have to go through, because people don't know a lot about these decentralized applications and exchanges and stuff too.
Yep. I found the easiest way to onboard normies to crypto, if you will, like what I did to my wife, my own parents, my sons, it's Bitcoin. Show them the numbers. Most people don't realize the market cap of Bitcoin. When I show them the numbers, like my wife is a show me the numbers type person. I showed her the market cap and I compared it to other major financial institutions, and she couldn't believe it. I showed her the chart, all-time chart. Like, yes, honey, they're big dips, but that's actually a buying opportunity over time. Bitcoin has gone up over 100,000%. She didn't believe me until I showed her the chart. And I had a very long 2-hour-long conversation with her when I invested many figures in the Bitcoin. And now, fast forward, when I bought a lot of Bitcoin in the bear market in 2020. Now my kids are like, Dad, we wish you could have convinced Mom of buying 2 or 3 or 4 Bitcoin. I'm like, oh well, it's okay.
Well, hindsight's 2020. If we could all invest with perfect hindsight, and yeah.
And it's just like math or anything else. You got to learn to crawl, before you run. You start 2 + 2 = 4 with Bitcoin, and then you build up from that. Now, hey, honey, or guys at work, now let's talk about Solana. Okay, Steve, what's Solana about? You can tell we're really busy at work. And then, you take little baby steps into DeFi, into this, into that. And then, hey, read it, do your own research. I could be crazy. I could be wrong. But when they start seeing the commercials on TV from BlackRock, that's when we're all going to get super rich. Us here that are investing now and years ago.
Well, something that I think is important to kind of circle back to is soon. The learning curve is going to be so much shallower. It's not going to be a steep learning curve. Again, because Coinbase, I'll keep going back to that because I don't really see anybody else that has the ability that Coinbase does, that's making the moves that they're making, with, their app and, with the interoperability with other chains, Solana and ETH and just, all, Aerodrome, with the way it is now and, what's launching in Q2 of next year. Morpho's already, over $2 billion of TVL for lending and borrowing. I mean, there's massive amounts of liquidity there now connected to Solana that has a massive amount of liquidity, and connected to Ethereum that has a massive amount of liquidity, and tokenized assets, and just the list goes on. So Coinbase, again, soon you're not going to have to even know Aerodrome exists. You can go on Coinbase now and have never heard of Morpho, and you can get a loan on your Bitcoin using Morpho, and you won't even know that you're using Morpho. It doesn't, it's all done right there. You can just say, I want to lend my Bitcoin out, click, done. You're now earning yield. No transfers to wallets, no connecting to Morpho, no figuring out how to deposit. It's just, I want to deposit this much, do it. And if they get an AI that's conversational, soon you won't even have to do that. You'll just be like, hey, hey, Coinbase, invest $2,000 of lend $2,000 of my Bitcoin.
I do have one slight concern with Base to play, again, just to look at all angles. And
no, absolutely. Go ahead.
Like Solana is the highly centralized in the outages. That's the only thing that gives me pause with Base.
I think, like it or not, centralization, that decentralized dream, that utopian, kind of libertarian dream we all had of what crypto was going to be. There's probably going to be tokens out there that we can buy that, kind of take our money off grid, like self-custody Bitcoin kind of thing. But for the most part, if you want to be part of this new financial system, at least in part, it's going to have centralized, networks. It's just the way it's going to be. And,
they all
a lot of
start out
people,
that way.
what's
They all
that?
start out, all the blockchain networks and stuff start out centralized, and then they have to build out the decentralized sequencers and validators and stuff.
Valid point.
So
Like-
I got a question for you guys. Is that even possible for Base and the other ETH layer 2s to have more than one validator? Because if I look in different websites, it says they only have one validator. They're essentially just sequencers. They're highly can they become more decentralized over time or no?
That's something I'm not a subject matter expert on, so I won't even pretend like I understand that aspect.
I know that's the goal for these networks and stuff. I forget the name of the website, but it shows like the score, decentralization score, and it shows like all the different aspects. But yeah, I'd have to do more research on that because Solana have a rollout method for more of those validators as well.
Yeah, I mean, because to be honest with you, it's still a concern of mine with Solana. Not so much the decentralization, but they have lost a lot of validators because it's just so dang expensive. I looked into it. I, for a time, wanted to do it until I realized I needed to invest over 7 figures over a year to be a validator. And with the Solana, it's super expensive. Solana Foundation was actually providing subsidies to its validators, and they just recently stopped that. When they stopped that, they lost, give or take, around 200 validators, and it's a concern, and it's a tough one. I just, because the whole ethos, blockchain and crypto is to be, and it's important because you don't want just one entity, one server, one sequencer, because when one thing goes down, you're out. There's an outage, and you can't. So
I wonder if they'll incentivize institutions to run nodes and things like that, somehow, like allow them to use the network, feeless if they run a node or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
They would have to make sure it'd be around the world at least instead of just one location.
Well, what I mean is like, say, Bank of America, like say they want to use the Solana network, and they're like, okay, well, we'll host a node if if we're able to use the network for free. Like it basically whenever we use it, and again, I'm just spitballing because it's a valid concern. If they're not incentivizing people to run $1 million fucking nodes, then what happens? There's no network.
Or how can they make them cheaper to run?
Yes, that right there. Yep. Yeah. I don't know why Solana is so damn expensive. I don't know why. I wish they would change it. I don't hear Tully speaking a whole lot about it because it's just so damn expensive. I thought 32 ETH was expensive to run a validator node until I realized how expensive Solana was. And that's a huge knock when I see the FUD from the Cardano community or whatever. They're actually right. Cardano at least does one thing right. They are super decentralized, and in my humble opinion, that's about all they do right. But Solana's doing okay. It's not like they're super centralized. They're doing okay. They got tons of great creative devs, and that's something I don't know if you guys have ever thought about. Like, how does a chain attract creative devs? I always wondered how that process works.
Incentivization.
Okay, is that all it is?
I would guess, because what else is going to incentivize a dev? Volume. If there's volume and TVL, I'm sure that attracts the devs, because if they're building dApps and and things on the network, they either are going to build those things because they're going to charge fees, like the dexes. If there's devs that are building that stuff, then I'm sure that they're getting, either the native token of the platform.
Oh, I think he froze.
Yeah, he froze.
Oh.
Jeff, me and you didn't freeze. You can hear me fine, right?
Yeah.
It's Starlink.
So Jeff, what do you think about this? Like, what attracts devs to different blockchains?
I would think maybe the different programming languages that are available for developers. Because if you're pigeonholed into just one language, it might be difficult to onboard a bunch of people. But if you have these ways of communicating with a bunch of different languages, and you can get a bunch of developers that can build whatever they want. And I mean, that would be a big thing. You know, you're not limited to a certain pool of people.
Yeah. So I've dabbled in programming languages before. I did a little bit of coding on Python and stuff. And then I never even heard of Haskell. Then I did a little bit of research about it. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. No way I would want to write code in Haskell and study calculus. I'm being facetious.
Cardano.
Like, yeah, it's crazy. But then Solana came along like, hey, this is much easier. And there's still something a little bit more to it, though, because Solana at the time didn't, when they were small and new and young and came out of nowhere, somehow they did something right to attract creative devs creating, you know, such great stats and games and stuff. And I don't know. I don't know what it is exactly.
We only got a couple minutes left, so I want to read this real quick and get your guys' input on it before we close out the show. So this is integrations with Ethereum Base and cross-chain protocols. Major breakthrough. Coinbase's Ethereum Layer 2 launched a direct bridge to Solana December of 2025, powered by Chainlink, CCIP, enabling seamless bidirectional asset transfers from base to base for apps like Aerodrome and Zora. The benefits: it unifies liquidity between Ethereum ecosystems, so basically what's considered dormant TVL, and Solana's speed native trading of Solana's assets on Base's DEX. Reduces fragmentation in multi-chain DeFi. The broader cross-chain Uniswap, that's Ethereum-based, added Solana support October of 2025, wrapped assets like wrapped XRP on Solana and Ethereum protocols using Wormhole D-Bridge for ongoing Ethereum Solana flows. Last point, the impact. It allows protocols on Ethereum and Base, for example, Aave and Compound, to tap Solana's low-cost execution, boost compostability for yield strategies across chains. So this goes into what I was trying to highlight before, where the seamlessness that is starting to be built between these networks and protocols, to where you're going to have user interfaces like Coinbase that accesses it all from one simple, clean UI. So for closing thoughts, Jeff, what are your thoughts on how all of this is evolving? How all of these different chains and protocols are coming together. And because I know me and you have talked quite a bit about this with Plume and, its connections with Base and, now Solana, and just starting to see this web, being constructed.
Yeah, I think it's great, especially for onboarding people and making it easier to set up a wallet or not having to write down a seed phrase. But one of the biggest concerns outside of I know you covered the Solana downtime stuff and it improving, but the stuff like October 10th, where people can't even access their Coinbase because it's down, that is something that will need to be
addressed.
Yeah, because people can't get access, or they can't sell, or what have you. That's a big problem. So
that's valid.
That needs to be identified and fixed. But yeah, no, I think it's great, and I'm excited to see what Base has to announce tomorrow, and the whole Velodrome rollout. I mean, I think that's going to be huge next step for accessing liquidity across chains and interoperability. So super excited for it.
Nice. Steve-O, thoughts?
Overall, sounds good to me. Bringing on board new users is always good for the industry. I think it's going to be interesting, though. Be careful what you wish for, because if you have all this interoperability and the net inflows, which chain, will the liquidity, it won't always just be a 50-50 going from chain to chain. A lot of liquidity might go into Solana from Base or vice versa. And that's going to be fascinating. Just see all the crypto Twitter posts now with, I already see them now. And it's just going to get more and more and more with, flowing from chain to chain. And Solana's winning today and Base is winning tomorrow and this chain's winning the third day. And, it's so exciting. I don't know. I'm just excited overall.
No, absolutely. It's really what kind of keeps me interested in crypto and keep going with everything, because I mean, I got a decent amount of money in my investments and my DeFi, and it's earning, and I'm definitely not going anywhere, but it's just, I find this infinitely interesting and engaging. A lot of times I'll start to learn about something like crypto, and and it just, I'll kind of lose interest in it. I'll kind of feel like I got to a point where I know enough about it. I want to learn about something else. A little bit of ADD, I guess. But with crypto, it's like every time you turn around, there's so much going on. I mean, you cannot keep up with how it evolves and how it builds and grows. It's just, it's definitely very interesting if you're into data, if you're into numbers, if you're into finance. It's just, if you're techie at all, it's definitely something that will take you down a rabbit hole. So if you're not in it now and you don't want to be become a freaking screen junkie, then I would suggest not getting into it.
Yeah, agreed.
But
and give us a follow and jump in our Discord. And if you have any questions, we're always happy to help and guide you in the right direction. So
absolutely. Well, I mean, if there's nothing else that we want to cover, I mean, we got plenty of more info to go over, but I want to be respectful of everybody's time. An hour's a long show to sit through, but I appreciate all of you for showing up. Wispy, Deadwood, Kreutznick, what else? Who else we got? Nick Dunn,
guys,
all the crew over on the arena, starting to get a nice little following over there. So thank you over there as well. If you can just throw us a like, throw us a follow, we greatly appreciate it. We're doing this for the most part for the love of the game, and so if you can help us grow and get the good word out, there's very few channels out there that will tell you how it is. We don't get paid to talk about any projects here or to shill any projects. We will never take money to talk about projects. We're just going to, and we like bringing people on. I have debates with Crypto Stevo all the time. I love opposing opinions. If you can't handle talking to somebody who doesn't, it's not in your echo chamber on your project, you need to do more research on your project, because you should be doing that yourself. You should be your own worst critic on what you're invested in and be constantly picking it apart. Because if you're not, you're going to end up being the exit liquidity for the people that are paying attention and that are investing based off data and not off emotions. So would you agree, Steve-O?
100%.
All right.
Thanks for having me. Had a blast.
Oh man, we'll have to have you on again. I know it's kind of weird, like coming on these shows. Like when I first started doing it, it feels kind of awkward because there's a certain flow to the show, and you got to kind of keep it going. And so I'm the same way. I love going deep on data, but sometimes I have to stop myself because I'll go too deep and I'll spend an hour talking about one little thing and not get to anything else. So yeah, unfortunately it's the time constraints that we got to keep it moving, but I definitely respect, you going deep on some of this stuff. So we'll definitely have to have you back on again, brother.
I was just skimming the surface. I could do this till midnight.
I know, dude. Yeah. I do it all the time. I sit up till midnight, often. And then I'm up at 5 a.m. to do the newsletter. So yeah, but
I love
all right. What's that?
Like I said, I love pouring over the data. When I was like a little kid, I used to love reading the baseball stats and making up my own stats and stuff. I just love it. And it helps me figure out which tokens are going to make money. It's a win-win.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again to everyone out there and supporting the channel. Until next time,
yes.
Veteran Crypto out.
Peace.